So this is economic slowdown, guys. Now, before getting into the technical stuff, let me ask you a very simple question. What do you mean by economic slowdown? So obviously, when there is economic slowdown, there are two things: producer and consumer, and in between there is government. So if we take these three important entities of the economy, what does a producer do? A producer makes investment in factories, plants, machinery, and the producer produces output. All right? The producer produces output, goods and services. What does the consumer do? The consumer buys the output, consumes. When the consumer consumes, the consumer gives money to the producer. This is how the economy, this is called a circular flow of the money, circular flow of the economy. What does the government do? Government collects taxes from producer, government collects taxes from consumer. And government gives policy support to producer, policy support to consumer. All right, this is what happens in a normal economy. What happens during a slowdown or a crisis in a very general way, not in a very technical way. In a very general way, all the three entities are broken. So what happens in an economic slowdown? Producers don't have enough money to invest in plants, machinery. Producers don't have enough money to produce output, which means investment will come down, output will come down. When there is no investment or there is low investment, there is low level of output, consumers won't get a lot of goods and services, right? Which means consumers won't have enough of goods and services that they are demanding. This will lead to inflation, all right? So your investment is low, your output is low. Since the producers are not producing enough, your exports are also low. Since the factories are shutting down because there is no output, because there is no investment, so what happens is the output, since the factories are shutting down, jobs are coming down. Who are these consumers? They are the same people who work in these factories, right? Since these factories are shutting down, the source of income of these consumers is also coming down. So their purchasing power is also going down. And the tax collection of the government will also come down. Which means producer, consumer and government, all the three would be negatively impacted. This happens in an economic slowdown. All right. Now, even before COVID crisis, the Corona crisis, we know that entire last year and last to last year, there were problems in the Indian economy. And we were going through a slowdown phase. The experts in the government and the policymakers and the economists, they said that India is suffering from something called as investment-led slowdown, which means mainly the slowdown that you see in India is because of lack of investment. Now they gave a model, they gave the name to that model which explains India's slowdown. They called it disequilibrium model. What is disequilibrium model, guys? Let me explain disequilibrium model. Under disequilibrium model, what happens is the investment comes down. When the investment comes down, the output and the productivity of the industries come down. If you don't invest the desired amount of capital in the industries, what will happen? Your productivity, your output, it will come down. When it comes down, your exports also comes down. When export comes down, your job creation comes down. When people lose jobs, the aggregate demand, when people lose job, their source of income is gone, which means they will demand less goods and services. When they demand less goods and services, so aggregate demand, AD is aggregate demand. What is aggregate demand? Total demand on the economy. Since people are losing job, total demand in the economy comes down. Since total demand comes down, these industries, their investment also comes down. So it started with low investment, and again the cycle has led to further low investment. And this is circular loop. This is called as disequilibrium model. Now, this is what India is suffering from. So they said that before COVID crisis, that this was the problem with India. So they said if you want to improve things in India, you have to focus on increasing investment, providing more jobs, increasing demand, increasing export. So the experts said we have to improve all these things so that Indian slowdown can be removed and we can start to grow again. But before we could implement policies to increase investment, demand and jobs, something very bad happened called as COVID crisis, because of which a new crisis came in India. Now let us see what happened. By the way, guys, when the economy is in slowdown, which I taught you the disequilibrium model, and I told you that the kind of crisis that India is suffering is called investment-led slowdown. Now, how do you solve a crisis? How do you solve a slowdown problem in the economy? So I told you there are two kind of entities. First are producers, second are consumers. So some experts are saying that you should reduce the corporate taxes, you should give more money to the industries. Some people are saying that no, give more money to consumers, right? Increase their purchasing power. Which one? And some people are saying improve jobs. What shall you do as policymaker? Tomorrow you are going to be the policymaker of India. What will you do to solve the problem of economic slowdown? Is there a way to solve the problem? Is there a mechanism to understand how to solve slowdown in an economy? Yes, there is. At your level, because you are preparing for a competitive exam, so you have to get a holistic picture of things about the whole working of the economy. So what I have done for you is, I have created a very small model for you. So I have created this model for you. And if you understand this model properly, if anybody would ask you a question that how to solve the slowdown problem of Indian economy, you can use this structure and answer the question easily. I'll tell you how. See. So suppose India is suffering from slowdown. And what are the symptoms of slowdown? Investment is low, output is low, export is low, jobs are low, purchasing power is low. This is the symptom of a slowdown. Now, how do you improve the slowdown? So to take the economy out of slowdown and to improve the GDP, there are two levels at which you can frame policies. The first level is the government, and government creates fiscal policy. Second level is RBI. RBI creates monetary policy. To take the economy out of crisis or slowdown, you need a combination of these two policies. RBI and Government of India working together. Let's see how. Now let's see what RBI can do. You know what RBI can do is, since RBI is the controller or RBI is the regulator of banking system, so you see what RBI can do. RBI can find a method through which more money can be given to banks. And how can more money be given to banks? Let's say by reducing the repo rate. What is repo rate? So you know, banks take loan from RBI. So when banks take loan from RBI, banks have to pay rate of interest. Suppose RBI reduces that rate of interest. So banks will take more loan from RBI. So that rate of interest is called repo rate. So if repo rate comes down, banks will take more loan from RBI, so more rupee will come to banks. If more rupee is coming to bank at low interest rate, which means more rupee can be given to industries, because these industries take loan from bank. See, they take loan from bank. So if banks have more money, more rupee, and low interest rate, low R, low interest rate, then these industries can take the loan at low interest rate. More money will come here. When more investment happens, so when more money comes to industries, investment increases. When investment increases, what will happen? The output in the economy will increase, right? So when RBI gives more money to banks will give more money to investors. Investors will invest more money in the industries. Output in the economy will increase, right? This is one channel of improving the slowdown. But I have a question. If your output is increasing, there must be somebody who has to buy the output. Because if you go on increasing goods and services, but nobody is buying it, your slowdown will in fact become worse, because you will have a lot of goods and services and nobody to buy. Which means only monetary policy will never solve the problem. You need fiscal policy also. So let's see what government can do. What government can do is, suppose government reduces taxes. Suppose government reduces taxes. If I'm paying 100 rupees as a tax, and government now is saying that you just need to pay 20 rupees as tax. Earlier I was paying 100 rupees as tax. Now I am paying 20 rupees as tax. Means I'm saving 80 rupees. So my purchasing power will increase. So government can reduce taxes, government can increase subsidies, Government can give bailout packages. Government does a lot of things. So through all these things, purchasing power of consumer improves. And when citizens have more money in their hand, if I have more cash in my pocket, what will I do? I will buy these goods and services. Isn't it? Now you guys tell me, if you have to take the economy out of slowdown or crisis, will you go in for monetary policy only, fiscal policy only, or a combination of monetary and fiscal policy? A combination of monetary and fiscal policy, and you understand why. Now, when I was teaching you monetary policy, I told you that RBI can reduce repo rate. When RBI reduces repo rate, what happens? The banks get cash from RBI at low interest rate, which means bank interest rates are low, which means producers can take loan from the bank at low interest rate, and similarly consumers can also take loan from the bank to buy consumer durable items like TV, fridge, automobile. So consumers take consumer loan, right? This is consumer loan. It also increases, and then consumers invest that money in buying goods and services. So this is the way in which you take the economy out of crisis. Now guys, imagine that suppose Government of India does not follow this monetary policy. Government of India only follows a fiscal policy, and government keeps on reducing taxes. Now what will happen? People will have more cash in hand, but suppose government is not increasing investment in the economy. So industries are not getting money, but people are getting money. So you and I are getting money, industries are not getting money. So when we get a lot of cash in hand, we will start to demand a lot of television, a lot of refrigerators, air conditioners, a lot of mobile phones, a lot of vehicles. But since they are not being produced, what will happen? Too much of money in the economy, too few goods and services, inflation. So if an economy only follows expansionary fiscal policy, it will lead to inflation. You have to create a combination of monetary policy and fiscal policy so that your industries are producing goods and services, your consumers are buying the goods and services. This is how you take the economy out of crisis. All right. Now this was slowdown. This was the condition of India even before the corona crisis, the COVID crisis. So what happened in India? What was government trying to do? See, I have given you this diagram now. This is not very difficult. This is a very easy diagram. You'll understand it very easily. See, this is economic slowdown and monetary policy. I'm going to focus more on monetary policy because I have to teach you these points. These points came in the newspaper. Let's see how many points are there. Repo rate, Operation Twist, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There were 2 more points, 9 and 10. So there were 10 points I could see in the newspaper. And when I was analyzing those 10 points, I realized that those 10 points are not separate points. They fit in the structure of slowdown and monetary policy. Hence, I created this structure for you. And I took all the 10 points which I saw in the news from March till July. And I have tried to fit all the points in this structure. All right. So what is the structure? Economic slowdown and monetary policy. I am dividing the economic slowdown into 2 periods. One is before the corona crisis and one is after the corona crisis. Now, before the corona crisis, Government of India was mainly focusing upon repo rate and Operation Twist to solve the problem of slowdown. And after the corona crisis, these are the monetary policy steps that government took, RBI took, to solve the problem of slowdown. We will study it after some time, but first we'll focus on repo rate and Operation Twist, because these 2 were the policies which RBI was using before corona crisis happened to solve the problem of slowdown. All right. So let's look at repo rate. So guys, let's see what happened in case of repo rate. See, I already told you what is repo rate. This is RBI. This is a bank. All right. So when banks need cash, what do? Banks go to RBI. Banks take cash. When banks take cash, they have to pay a rate of interest to RBI. This rate of interest is called repo rate. All right. So see, what happened in the Indian economy is RBI was seeing that the investors in the economy, the businessman, now what do the businessmen do? So these are investors. So suppose I am a businessman, what would I do? I would go to a bank and take money. But if banks are taking money from RBI at high rate of interest, they will also give loan to investors at high rate of interest. So RBI knew this. So what did RBI do? RBI reduced the repo rate. Now when RBI reduced the repo rate, how many times did they reduce it? Between February 2019 to December 2019, RBI reduced the repo rate 5 times. Why? So that investment should increase in the economy. Because if repo rate is coming down, the businessman will also get loan from bank at low rate of interest. So what happened is repo rate reduced between February to December 5 times. 1.35% was the reduction in repo rate, which means the banks, when they were taking money from RBI, this repo rate reduced by 1.35%. But when the banks were supposed to give discount to the investors, because banks were getting this much of discount, banks should also give discount to the investors, but banks were passing on only 0.5% discount to the investors. So banks found the reduction in repo rate by 1.35%, but banks reduced the interest rate to the investors by only 0.5%. Ideally, banks should have given this entire discount to investors, but they did not. This is what RBI saw. So RBI saw that despite reducing the repo rate 5 times, nothing happened in the economy. All right. Plus there was a second problem. So was repo rate a good policy tool in India, or is repo rate a good policy tool in India which can solve all the problems of investment? No. Why? Because banks don't pass on the repo rate cut to the investors, and this is called as faulty monetary policy transmission. What is monetary policy transmission? When RBI reduces the repo rate, banks are supposed to reduce the rate, the lending rate to the investors. This would be called as monetary policy transmission. But when banks don't pass on the benefit of reduced repo rate to the investors, it is called as faulty monetary policy transmission. Along with a faulty monetary policy transmission, there was one more problem in India. Guys, have you heard of government securities called as treasury bills? Yes? Yes. So some government securities have a tenure of, let's say, less than 1 year. They are called as short-run government securities, and some have a tenure of more than 1 year. Like there would be 3 years, there would be 5 years, 6 years, 10 years. They would be called as long-term government securities. In India, before the COVID crisis happened, what was seen is most of the investors who were interested in government securities were asking for short-run government securities. They didn't want to buy long-term government securities. Why? Because short-term government securities can be returned after 1 year or before 1 year, and you can take back your money. But your fund is locked for 6 years and 10 years in long-term government securities. So what happened in India, all the investors who wanted to buy government securities, they were only interested in short-term government securities. So what happened? When everybody is interested in short-term government securities, what will happen to the demand of short-term government securities? Demand will go up. When demand of short-term government securities goes up, what will happen to the bond price? Short-term government securities, what will happen to the price? Price increases. When price increases, you know what happens to the yield? What happens to the yield? The government bonds, the yield comes down, and you know rate of interest is also connected to yield, it also comes down. So what happened in India was, since everybody was interested in short-term government bonds, the demand increased, bond price increased, yield came down, rate of interest came down. And similar is the story with long-term government bonds. In long-term government bonds, people were hardly interested in, nobody was interested in it. So what happened? Demand was low. When nobody is demanding it, or very few people are demanding it, what happens to the price? Price is low. When the price is low, what happens to the yield? Yield is high, and rate of interest is high. So, you know, and these, the interest rate on government securities give a signal to the market interest rate. They act as a signal for normal market interest rate. And what is the signal that the government bonds were giving? The government bonds were giving a signal that in short term, the interest rates were low. In long term, the interest rates were high. And if you are a policy expert, if you are a policy maker of India, which investment would you like to be high in India? The long-term investment. You want the investment to be high. But what would happen to the long-term investment? Since interest rates are high, the long-term investment would be low. So see, what was the problem in India? First problem was repo rate did not succeed. Second problem was that everybody wanted short-term government bonds. Nobody wanted long-term government bonds. So long-term interest rates in India were high. Investment was low. These two were very big problems that the RBI was facing. So what would you suggest to RBI? To reduce the repo rate further? No. What would you suggest the RBI? So RBI came up with a unique policy called as Operation Twist. So guys, what is Operation Twist? See, as I told you that RBI conducted Operation Twist on December 19, 23rd and 30th, 3 times in December, 1 time in January, then 1 in April and 1 in June. So almost 3, 4, 5, 6 times Operation Twist was conducted as recently as June, hence it's in the news. So what was the inspiration behind Operation Twist? Before I teach you Operation Twist, what's the inspiration? Inspiration behind Operation Twist was that USA had used this Operation Twist to come out of slowdown in 1961 after the Korean War. So after the Korean War, USA started to face economic slowdown, and they used Operation Twist in 1961, which helped them to come out of that slowdown and crisis. All right, so now let's have a look at why there was a need for Operation Twist. As I gave you the background that repo rate was not doing well, plus I told you that people had a lot of interest in buying short-term bonds, but no interest in long-term bonds. These were some of the problems. So let's see, in a proper manner, let's see why there was a need for Operation Twist. See, repo rate cut were not passed on to the borrowers. I told you monetary policy transmission was inefficient. Second was most investors wanted to invest in short-term securities, right? I gave you that example. Everybody wanted to buy short-term government bonds and securities and not long-term. Now, what happens because of this is, let me tell you, what happens is, I have already told you that when everybody wants to buy short-term securities, what happens? Their demand goes up because everybody is demanding short-term securities. Their demand goes up. Now their price goes up. When the price goes up, there is inverse relationship between price and yield. So yield and interest rate comes down. So the short-term interest rate was low and long-term interest rate was high. Hence, the investment was low because long-term interest rate was high, so investment was low. These 3 were the problems because of which Operation Twist was needed. Now let's have a look at working of Operation Twist. So guys, what is actually Operation Twist? What happens in Operation Twist? See, under Operation Twist, RBI does 2 things. Short-term government securities and long-term government securities. So what happens under Operation Twist is RBI does 2 things simultaneously, which means they do 2 things together. First is they sell short-term government securities and RBI buys long-term government securities. Now what happens because of this? It's very interesting. See, under Operation Twist, RBI does 2 things. Step number 1, sell short-term government securities. Step number 2, buy long-term government securities. What happens because of this? So when RBI sells a lot of short-term government securities, when you sell a lot, supply increases. When supply increases, price comes down. When price comes down, yield and rate of interest goes up. And I told you what was the problem in the short term. The short term rate of interest was low. So through Operation Twist, RBI is increasing the short term rate of interest. Now, what is RBI doing? RBI is buying a lot of long term government securities, which means RBI is demanding a lot of long term government securities. So demand goes up because RBI is buying it. So demand increases, price increases. When price increases, yield and rate of interest comes down. Which rate of interest is coming down? Long term or short term? Long term. When long term rate of interest comes down, what happens to the investment? Investment goes up. This is operation twist. All right. So let's see. These are the two steps which I just taught you, that under operation twist, RBI does two things. First is they sell the short-term government bonds and they buy the long-term government bonds. See, operation twist, this is the diagram I have given you. RBI, operation twist, short-term government securities, long-term government securities. In short-term government securities, RBI sells it, so supply goes up, bond price comes down, yield and interest rate goes up. Long-term government securities, the RBI buys it, so demand goes up, bond price goes up, yield and interest comes down. That is operation twist. Now, this is the diagram which shows what happens to the short-term yield and what happens to the long-term yield. So short-term yield goes up, which means short-term rate of interest goes up. Long-term yield comes down, so long-term rate of interest comes down. All right, so now let's see, based on what we have studied, let us try to solve some MCQs. All right. Now this is a question which says, which of the following are likely effect of operation twist in the economy? All right, so what is the impact of operation twist? Mind you, what happened in operation twist? The long-term rate of interest came down. All right, long-term rate of interest is down in the economy. So consumer loans like home loan and car loan would go up. Yes, because long-term rate of interest is coming down, so consumer loan goes up. Investment goes up. Yes. Saving becomes more lucrative. Guys, tell me, if long-term interest rate is coming down, would you save more? Would you consume more? Yes. Why? Because you would take more loan. Like if I am a consumer, if banks are giving me low rate of interest, low rate of interest loans, I would take more car loans, I would take more home loans, I would take more loans to buy a phone, a refrigerator, which means savings would not become high, savings would actually come down. So this is wrong. Consumer spending goes up. Yes, because interest comes down, loan goes up, so consumer spending goes up. What's the correct option? First, second and fourth. This is the right answer. All right. Okay. All right, this is second MCQ based on operation twist only. Which of the following are the likely effect of operation twist on the government borrowings? So when operation twist has been conducted, remember what happened? Long-term rate of interest came down. All right, rate of interest is low. So what is the effect on government borrowing? Government borrowing becomes costly. Government borrowing becomes economical. Government borrowings are not impacted. What is government borrowing? So guys, suppose this is the government. Now the government is selling government bonds. On these government bonds, government has to give away rate of interest. If the rate of interest that the government has to give to people, so what does government do in case of selling of government bonds? Suppose I am the government, I am selling a bond to you. When I sell a bond to you, you would demand rate of interest from the government. If the government gives you low rate of interest, because long-term rate of interest is low, that means government is getting money from public at a very less costly rate, right? Which means the government borrowing does not become costly, it becomes economical. Because government has to give low rate of interest to people, so it becomes economical. So what's the right answer? Right answer is B. All right. All right. So this is your third MCQ. It says, which of the following are the likely effect of recently conducted operation twist in the Indian economy in general? Mind the word in general. So what happens because of operation twist? Short-term interest rate goes up. Yes. Long-term interest rate comes down. Absolutely correct. Money supply increases. No. Because under operation twist, the government on the RBI on one hand sells the bond, on the other hand they buy the bond. So they are not changing the money supply here. So choose the correct option 1 and 2. And I'm talking about in general. All right. So both 1 and 2 are correct. Now impact of Operation Twist. We have already seen in the form of MCQ. So first is consumer loan goes up. Yes. Investment would go up because long-term interest rate is coming down. Now savings are not lucrative. Why? Because interest rates are low. If bank is giving you low rate of interest, why would you save with the bank, right? You would invest more. And the government need to pay low rate of interest. Hence, the government borrowing becomes economical. All right. So what have we done so far, guys? So far, as I told you that I'll be teaching you both the sides. I have just taught you this side, that economic slowdown in monetary policy in the pre-COVID era, the RBI followed repo rate. It did not succeed. Hence, they followed Operation Twist. But the moment RBI started Operation Twist, the world started to suffer COVID problem, the Corona problem. And then RBI had to come up with new policy approaches so that RBI can give more liquidity in the economy. Because now we have a new problem, the COVID problem. Earlier, we only thought that these two things will take care of the economy. But then COVID problem occurred. And now RBI had to come up with these things now. Let us study them one by one. So guys, you know, something interesting happened. Let me tell you. So this is monetary policy tool used by RBI to combat COVID crisis. What all did RBI do? So on March 27th, 2020, you know, you remember this, there was something called as social curfew, so-called Janta curfew, self-imposed curfew that happened around 25th of March. So around 27th of March, RBI released a statement, a document called as Statement on Developmental and Regulatory Policies. This was released by RBI. Now under this, RBI said that we will do these 4 things so as to help the economy recover from COVID related crisis. What are the 4 things that RBI said they will do? First thing is RBI said, since because of COVID related problems, there is a lack of cash in the economy. Because people are losing jobs, industries are not able to sell their output. So there is a law, banks are not willing to give money. So there is a problem of cash in the economy. So RBI said we will expand liquidity. That's the first thing. The second thing is RBI said we will reinforce monetary policy transmission. So RBI said we will give money to banks at low interest rate, and we will find a way so that banks also give cash to people at low interest rate. So RBI said we will do these 2 things. Third is easing financial stress and relaxing repayment pressure. So suppose I have taken loan, I am a consumer, I have bought a house, I have taken home loan, I have to give installments. But because of COVID, I have lost my job. How do I pay my home loans? So RBI said that this repayment pressure will be reduced so that people are not burdened. All right. Then improving the functioning of the market. RBI said we will look at financial market so that financial market is healthy. All right. These are the 4 things. So can UPSC ask a question on that? Yes. So the question based on this Statement on Development and Regulatory Policy, which was released by RBI on March 27, could be this. Which of the following are the components of the Statement on Development and Regulatory Policy by RBI to tackle COVID crisis? Which are the components? First is expand liquidity in the economy. Yes. Reinforce monetary transmission. Yes. Tightening of repayments. No. RBI said we will not force people to give EMI. Rather, we will relax people from giving EMI. So this statement is wrong. What's the correct answer? Only 1 and 2, which means B is the right answer. Right? Okay. All right, guys. So now let's look at the diagram. This. So I'm going to teach you this diagram now. So in post-COVID situation, what are the steps taken by RBI? First is CRR, cash reserve ratio. All right, guys. So I won't be wasting much of your time in telling you ABC of CRR, but obviously I would give you some basic idea of what is CRR, cash reserve ratio. So see, what is CRR? So you know, all the banks in India, commercial banks in India, they have to keep some cash with RBI. Now this cash that they keep with RBI is a proportion of their total net demand and time liabilities. So for example, let's say I am a bank, I have 100 crore rupees, and this 100 crore is my NDTL, net demand and time liabilities. This is the money that I have. So out of that, suppose I have to give 10%, which is 10 crore to RBI. So I have to keep that cash with RBI. This is called CRR. Now, there is something interesting that first thing is that if I am a bank and suppose you are RBI, you are asking for 10 crore from me. Now, you know that the economy is suffering from crisis. So would you increase this CRR for the banks? And so you are the RBI. So would you tell the banks that, oh, you are giving 10 crore, now you give us 20 crore? Or will you reduce 10 crore and make it, let's say, 7 crores? Because banks don't have money, you will reduce it. That is what RBI did. So RBI reduced the CRR and they made it to 3%. They reduced it. Earlier it was more than 3%, around 4. They reduced it to 3. That's first. Second is, what RBI does is, RBI says that they look at the CRR of a bank and say that, okay, so if a bank is supposed to give 10 crore rupees to RBI, all right, as CRR. Now RBI keeps a daily assessment of the CRR, that whether banks are having that 10 crore or not. But RBI tells the bank that if your CRR is 10 crore, you need not have 10 crore on daily basis. On fortnightly basis, you have to have 10 crores. But on daily basis, even if you have 9 crores, 90% of 10 crore, which is 9 crore, it is good enough. So on daily basis, banks have to maintain 90% of their total CRR. All right? And on fortnightly basis, they have to maintain the total CRR. So what RBI did is, RBI has relaxed that thing, and RBI has said, now on daily basis, since bank don't have enough money, even if they maintain 80% of their CRR on daily basis, it is okay. All right. So RBI has reduced the 90% rule and made it 80% for the time being. So this is step number 1 by RBI. All right. So this is RBI. This is bank. So let's see, guys, what happens under LAF. So suppose bank needs cash. What would bank do? Bank would come to RBI. RBI would give cash to the banks. Now, when banks take cash from RBI, the banks have to pay some rate of interest, right? So that is called as repo rate. Now, suppose RBI takes cash from bank. Suppose I am a bank, I deposit my cash with RBI. So would RBI pay me rate of interest? Yes. This is called as reverse repo. All right. Now, when a bank takes cash from RBI, suppose the repo rate, which means the interest rate that the banks have to pay. So this is the rate that banks pay, repo. Let's say it's 6%. When banks put cash with RBI, RBI gives them the interest rate called as reverse repo. Now, will reverse repo be higher or lower than repo? It has to be lower than repo. Let's say it's 5%. All right. So in this case, if a bank is taking cash from RBI, bank has to give money, bank has to give interest rate to RBI called repo. When bank gives money to RBI, RBI gives interest rate to bank called as reverse repo. In this example, I took the repo to be 6%, reverse repo to be 5%. So the difference between 6 and 5, repo and reverse repo, is just 1%. Now let me tell you something magical about it. So imagine you are a bank and imagine I am RBI. When you need cash from me, what would you do? You would come to me because I am RBI and you would tell RBI that RBI, I need cash. I'll say, no problem, I can give you cash. You give me government securities, so I'll take government securities and I'll give you cash. Plus you have to give me rate of interest also. So the rate of interest that you will give to RBI is 6%. Now tomorrow, when you get enough of cash, suppose that you are the bank and you have enough of cash in your pocket, and you know that if you give your cash to RBI, RBI will give you 5% rate of interest. Now 5% is very high rate of interest. So what will you do? Will you keep your cash here and there? No. You will directly give your cash to RBI and say, RBI, you take cash and give me 5% rate of interest, right? Now, if suppose in the economy there is low investment, the problem is that investment in the economy is low. And if I am RBI, you are a bank, you know what I would do? If I am RBI, I would reduce this rate of interest 6% to, let's say, 4%. Why? So that when you, because you are a bank, when you come to me, means you come to me to take money, I will give you money at just 4%, which means I am giving you money at a very low rate of interest. So that when a businessman comes to you for loan, you can also give loan to the businessman at low rate of interest. But if I am RBI, I am just reducing the repo rate. Then what you will do is, if reverse repo rate is high, you know what will happen? The banks, instead of giving money to businessmen, so what would the bank do? They would not give loan to firms, because firms would give them low rate of interest. The banks, in fact, would start to give money to RBI because reverse repo rate is high. So what RBI is doing is, they reduce the repo rate, they also reduce the reverse repo rate. And they would, for example, make the reverse repo rate as 3.35%. All right. So see, there is a difference. The difference between repo and reverse repo rate is 65% now, right? 0.65, which is 65%. So if this is your repo and this is your reverse repo, or this is your repo and suppose your reverse repo is this, which means suppose your repo is 6%, reverse repo is 5.5%, or suppose your repo is 4%, reverse repo is 3.35%. Which has more gap? So here the difference is just 0.5 and here the difference is 0.65. So repo and reverse repo are far apart. Here repo and reverse repo are close. When they are close, what happens is banks prefer, here you saw, no? The banks prefer to give more money to RBI when this is close. Why? Because reverse repo is high. But when there is huge gap in reverse repo and repo, see 4% and 3.35, gap is 0.65, gap is more. Then the banks don't prefer to give more money to RBI because RBI gives them low rate of interest. Then what would the bank do? Bank would prefer to give more money to businessmen for investment, the firms for investment. And that is what RBI has done in the post-COVID scenario. You know what they have done? They have reduced the repo rate and they have also reduced the reverse repo rate, and they have reduced these two in such a way that the gap has increased. This is what they have done under liquidity adjustment facility. And these are the things which I have mentioned here. See, first I have given you the concept of what is liquidity adjustment facility. So what is liquidity adjustment facility? See, LAF helps the bank to adjust their daily liquidity mismatch. So suppose banks require 100 crore and they have only 80 crore. They need 20 more crores. Why? People are demanding more money. So what would the bank do? Bank would go to RBI and take loan from RBI under repo rate. So LAF is that kind of window. LAF has a number of tools. So what is the meaning of liquidity adjustment facility? Under liquidity adjustment facility, there is repo, which I have just taught you. Reverse repo, I taught you. There is term repo. What is term repo? So repo having fixed maturity longer than a day. So this repo, when a bank takes money from RBI for more than a day, like 7 days, 14 days or 28 days, that is called as term repo. All right. So that is term repo. What is policy rate? I have just given you basic static knowledge. What is policy rate? Policy rate is this repo rate under liquidity adjustment facility. This repo rate is called as policy rate in India. All right. Now, whenever the government changes repo rate, it acts as a signal to other rates that they also have to adjust according to repo rate. So these are some of the things which can be asked in the UPSC exam. This is static area. And I have already taught you the dynamic area, what RBI has done. You see, this is your repo rate, 4%. This is your reverse repo rate, 3.35. Difference, 0.65 or 65 percentage. See, in view of excess liquidity, it has been decided to widen the existing policy rate corridor from 50 to 65 basis points. So the gap has been increased between these two. Why? So that banks don't give more money to RBI. Banks should give more money to the businessman. That is the reason it has been done. All right. Now, I already taught you this interest rate corridor. See, RBI and bank, I already taught you this, that when banks take money from RBI, it is through repo rate. When banks give cash to RBI, it is through reverse repo rate. And the gap between repo and reverse repo, RBI is trying to increase the gap. All right. Okay. Now we are going to see marginal standing facility. What is MSF? You see, what happens is, so for example, if a bank has taken loan from RBI under liquidity adjustment facility, but even now the bank needs little extra money, more than what they have taken under liquidity adjustment facility. Can they borrow little more money from RBI? Yes, under marginal standing facility. So under MSF, banks can borrow overnight money from RBI. All right, they can borrow money overnight, which is above what they have already bought through liquidity adjustment facility. Under LAF, through repo, the banks already take loan from RBI, but suppose they need little more loan for one day, so they can take it under marginal standing facility. So MSF is a very short-term borrowing, tool when banks really require cash. So what has RBI done? So normally the rule is that under marginal standing facility, under this mechanism, the banks can take 2% of their net demand and time liabilities. So if their net demand and time liabilities is 100 crore, suppose banks have 100 crore, they can take 2 crore from RBI, 2% of this. But suppose that we are living in a COVID crisis kind of situation, banks need more cash, this 2 crore won't help. So what has RBI done? RBI has said, okay, now you can take up to 3% of NDTL. Now you can take 3 crore under marginal standing facility. See, banks earlier they could borrow only 2%, now they can borrow 3%. That is the new rule. All right. So, see guys, what is the interest rate structure in India currently? So, interest rate structure in India is this. The marginal standing facility is 4.65, the bank rate is 4.65, repo rate 4, reverse repo 3.35. In UPSC, they'll ask you this sequence, that arrange the interest rate in India from increasing to decreasing. So, highest rate is MSF and bank rate equal, then this, and from low to high it is reverse repo, bank rate equal to MSF. These two are equal. So you have to remember the sequence also. All right. Okay. Now the next point, deferment of last tranche of capital conservation buffer. Let me explain this point. I have already explained this point in my first video with you. When I was teaching you Basel norms. You remember under Basel norms, I had taught you that the banks in India have to maintain 2.5% as, capital conservation buffer. This is the money that the banks in India have to maintain at capital conservation buffer. So what is the capital conservation buffer? This definition I have taken from RBI. So RBI says that capital conservation buffer is designed to ensure that banks build up capital buffer during normal time, which can be drawn down using during the loss time. So for example, when banks are going through good phase, so RBI says that the banks must keep aside 2.5% of their capital as capital conservation buffer. So when banks are going through good phase, I should keep some capital in my hand, so that when banks are going through a bad phase, they can use that money. All right, that is called as CCB. Now this is the percent which we have to maintain. That's the rule under Basel norms. So under Basel norms, the rule was that by March 2019, all right, by March 2019, you see, all the banks in India had to maintain a CCB of 2.5%. So a 2.5% capital conservation buffer had to be maintained. This was the rule. Then they changed this. They said no, not by March 2019, but by March 2020 you have to maintain 2.5% capital conservation buffer. But then COVID crisis happened and banks were not able to do that. And by the way this happened was this. So Basel said that capital conservation buffer was to be implemented in phased manner, which means you don't have to have 2.5% at one go. You need to get 2.5% in small fractions or patches. So like 0.625 plus 0.625 plus point. You have to keep on adding these tranches, which means in fractions you have to keep on adding, so that by March 2019 you should have 2.5. Then they said that no, not by March 2019, but March 2020 you should have 2.5. Now they are saying that it's not possible to have it by March, so they are saying by September 2020 you should have 2.5% as capital conservation buffer. So this relaxation has been given under this influence of this COVID crisis. All right. Now net stable funding ratio. This is interesting, and I feel that this can be a potential question in the exam. So guys, now the next thing that RBI did in India as a part of monetary policy was net stable funding ratio. Let me tell you what happened. So you remember the global financial crisis of 2007, right? So after the global financial crisis of 2007, the Basel came up with two very important ratios. The first ratio is called as liquidity coverage ratio, LCR, and the second ratio is called as net stable funding ratio. What are these two ratios? See, Basel says that if you are a bank, so for example, suppose I am a bank, so Basel says that I should have enough of liquidity with me so that if I am suffering from a short-term crisis-like situation or problems, and they define the short term to be 30 days. So they say that if I am suffering from some problem, maybe some crisis-like situation for 30 days, I should be able to cover it up with my own fund. That fund which they need to maintain to be able to cover that problem which they are suffering for, maybe let's say 30 days, that is called as LCR, liquidity coverage ratio. So liquidity coverage ratio, it promotes short-term resilience of a bank so that they have sufficient high quality liquid assets. So these assets that they should have should be of very high quality so that if they have a problem, they can manage it for 30 days. Now this is for short term. Now for long term, the Basel says that banks need to maintain net stable funding ratio called as NSFR. What is NSFR? So in NSFR, they say that banks should create, in the long run, banks should rely upon those kind of sources of funding which are more stable in nature. So banks also invest, bank also have different sources of funding. So Basel says that in the long run, so that if there is a problem in the banking system, bank should be able to withstand that problem in the long run. So in the long run, the focus of the bank should be towards creating more stable sources of funding. So this is what they say. Now, ideally, according to Basel, they say that in India, all the banks should have achieved NSFR, 100% NSFR. That means they should have created a more stable source of funding in the long run. They should have done it by April 1st, 2020. But because of COVID crisis, this date has been postponed to October 1st, 2020. This is also one thing which has been done, guys. All right. So how many things have we done? Let's go back to the diagram, guys. Let's see. And this is your diagram. Right. See, so we are doing the post-COVID scenario, the Corona scenario. First we did CRR, LAF, MSF. Then we did this liquidity coverage ratio, LSFR. And now we are going to do long-term repo operations. So this would be the next one, LTRO. All right, so we have just done our CCB, NSFR, now long-term repo operations. What is long-term repo operation? Now, before I teach you this through slides, let me tell you a very important story and a very short story. In fact, if you understand the story, you will understand the entire long-term repo operation. So see what has happened. Probably I can explain it much better using a diagram. So let me use a diagram for that. All right, let me find some space. All right, so I'm going to draw a diagram here. All right. So let's say, so these are people. All right, this is your financial institution. Let's say a bank. And this is your RBI. Now what happens is, so these are people, right? So suppose these people have taken or bought maybe bonds from this financial institution. So let's say that these people have bought bonds. Now what has happened is, because of this COVID scenario, since there is some kind of slowdown in the economy, crisis-like situation, these people are going back to these financial institutions and they are saying that take your bond, give me my money. So they are trying to redeem the bond, right? So all of a sudden, if everybody wants to redeem the bond, debenture and everything, what happens? These financial institutions are under pressure. Why? Because these bonds are being returned and now they have to give rupee to these people. Now, there is not enough of liquidity with the banks, right? Their sources of income is also drying up because of slowdown under COVID. So these people are returning bonds and they want rupee. So what happens? Now RBI comes to their help. RBI says, okay, you need liquidity, we will give you liquidity. How? So RBI tells these financial institutions that if you have 1 to 3 year bonds or government securities, or even more than that, if you have 4 years, 6 years, 10 years, so it should be 3 years or more than 3 years also. So 1 to 3 years, if you have this government bonds or securities, you bring that to RBI. All right, RBI will buy it and RBI will inject rupee in the economy. RBI will give you rupee. This is called as long-term repo operations. So what happens? These financial institutions are getting liquidity. This liquidity can be passed on to those who are trying to sell bonds or redeem their bonds from these financial institutions. This is what is happening. All right. So now let me tell you by giving you some figures. See, this is the story that I have just explained to you. All right. This I have written in the literature form. So it says that COVID has ignited large sell-off, the same story which I have written. So what is RBI trying to do? RBI is trying to infuse 1 lakh crore. I told you RBI is buying securities. So RBI is trying to inject 1 lakh crore, you must remember this figure for prelims, into the system. RBI will buy government securities and infuse liquidity of 1 to 3 years. Now what will happen? So see, RBI is providing 1 to 3 year money to the banks. At what rate? So is RBI giving money to the banks? Yes. When RBI gives money under repo, so does RBI charge rate of interest? Yes. Which rate of interest? Repo rate. So here also RBI will charge repo rate, prevailing repo rate. All right. Now the auction will happen at floating rate linked to the policy repo rate. So whatever will be the policy repo rate, at that rate the banks will have to take money from RBI. So that is linked to policy repo rate. Now this supplies banking system with liquidity of 1 to 3 years. Fine, we have done that. Now this point is important. So what will happen? So guys, see, this is your RBI and this is your bank. If RBI is buying government securities or bonds, what will happen? The demand of bond goes up. When the demand goes up, price goes up. When price goes up, yield and rate of interest comes down. All right. So LTRO will also bring down the yield for short-term securities in 1 to 3 years in the bond market, and operations are being conducted on core banking solution eKuber platform. So you know what is eKuber platform? So for example, when RBI has to do some auction, they have to sell government securities, they have to buy government securities, they use this core banking system online platform called eKuber. So all the commercial banks are connected to RBI through eKuber, and RBI conducts its operation through eKuber. So RBI will also conduct this LTRO through eKuber. Now I told you that the term is LTRO, long-term repo operation. What is TLTRO? TLTRO is targeted LTRO. What is targeted LTRO? So when long-term repo operation like this is conducted in such a way that they are targeted towards a few things. What are the targets? I'll tell you. So RBI is saying that this is bank and this is RBI. RBI is saying that they will buy government securities and they will give liquidity to the bank under long-term repo operation. But the moment these banks get liquidity, RBI says that liquidity availed under the scheme by bank has to be deployed in corporate bond. So these banks now have to use this liquidity in buying corporate bonds. Corporate bonds, commercial papers and convertible debenture. These are the three things where these banks have to use the money. Hence, this money which they are getting, the banks are getting from RBI, is targeted towards corporate bond, commercial paper and convertible debenture. Hence, it is called as targeted long-term repo operation. All right. Banks shall be required to acquire up to 50% of their holding eligible instrument from primary market and remaining 50 from secondary market. And banks have to buy these corporate bonds, commercial papers and convertible debentures, 50% of this from primary market where new shares and bonds are sold, and 50% from secondary market where already existing shares and bonds are sold. This is the rule. All right. Plus it is mandatory that banks also have to invest in mutual fund and non-banking financial companies so that this money travels everywhere in the economy.